So my next guest is a five times national champion, 4 times European champion, and IEBA world champion, Gemma Richardson. Oh my God. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I am really good. Good to see your face.
It's good to see yours too. It's been a while, I think.
It has. Firstly, congratulations, bless you. Congratulations on being selected to be part of the Team England for the 2022 Commonwealth Games. Good to be back.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming, especially this year. It's been a difficult year for me. So to have that little light at the end of the tunnel and that chance to actually get to boxing in such a big tournament, it's a great one to come back to, really.
100%. I mean, will this be your first major competition since your injury?
Yeah. So my first competition back, and it's straight into the deep end, straight into the big one. But I couldn't ask for anything more.
Yeah. So talk to me. Oh, wow. Talk to me about that whole process, getting the injury, and how you've been able to not just navigate the kind of the physical side, getting back to full health, but the mental side as well.
So, we sat down in January and we got the list of competitions that we'd be doing for this year. So I had one every 2 weeks from the last one. I had one. So I was having a competition every month up until the World Championships. And obviously the first one was in January. I had a great season in 2021. 2 Europeans. I went into a competition in December, got a gold medal there. So I had a really good 2021. Had the little break at Christmas. My first competition was obviously in January in Serbia. That was going to be start of a very busy year for me. We sat down with the coaches at GB. I was going to be out every couple of weeks. It was the start of just getting the experience and getting the bouts in. So it was in Serbia. The training went well. Everything was going good. Got there. Drawn a really good Kazakhstan girl who's been around for years, 10 years older than me. She's boxed every name going as well. So I knew it was going to be a hard fight. Got into the fight, was doing really well. She was a tough girl, strong girl. Knew what to do on the inside, and that is in tactical dirtiness and that. A few times she pushed me to the floor. I was just keeping what I was doing, trying to box, win by doing it that way. And it was just a freak accident. So in the third round, I've got videos now, and everyone at GB's watched it, everyone at home's watched it, so many people watched it, and nobody can really tell what happened. It was the way she pushed me, the way I landed. But I've gone down onto the floor, and as I've come up, I've stood up at first, so I didn't really know what went on. So I've gone down on the floor, I've looked, something didn't feel right, so I've looked down, my elbow's hanging out. I looked again and I thought it popped back in. So I've gone to stand back up, and as I've stood back up, I knew something wasn't right again. So I've dropped back to the floor. I think everyone's in shock. My corner didn't even see what was going on. Everyone was just stood there. So the ref's giving me a count, so she hadn't seen my arm. So I flung my arm to show her my elbows popped out. It felt like that round, that section lasted so long because no one jumped in the ring to help. No one. I was just there with my elbow hanging out. That's when my corner saw it, and they shouted for our physio to jump in the ring. From there, it was just crazy because in the ring it was so weird because on the live stream, I don't know if you can hear it, but because of my adrenaline's going, all I'm shouting is, "Does that mean I've lost a fight?" Because I didn't. I was like, "Does that mean I've lost a fight?" I was like, "Get the scorecard." So I'm seeing her giving me a count, and I'm thinking, this isn't right. It wasn't a shot that landed or anything. It was literally just a freak accident. So I'm just my adrenaline's still going, so I'm not really feeling the pain. I'm just am I winning? Did I win the fight?
The true warrior in you.
Give me the scorecards. I need to see. After I got out of the ring, that the pain and the shock and down, that's when it really took a toll. But yeah, that was the start of a long injury and a long time out that I didn't expect to be.
Yeah, I mean, it was really difficult to watch, and I guess for me, that's kind of been following your career. We've had several chats now on my other channel. We've had chats, but also just seeing you come off the back of the pandemic, everything seems to be starting to fit together. To me, you were. I mean, you've always been a good boxer. You're almost on this trajectory to being a real star at GB. I don't know if you can feel it, but most definitely on the outside, we can feel that. And then it's like, oh man.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I felt like everything was going good. Obviously, the pandemic and that, I was getting into the flow of things. I was bringing different things into my training, into my style. I was really taking on board everything. I felt like I was learning. I was boxing regularly, and I had a great end to 2021. I was looking forward to this year. This year was a big year. I felt like everything was going good. Even in that fight, like, we did get the scorecards after, and I won on the scorecards, which is even more annoying because, like, I was beating a very top girl and, like, I was boxing nice as well. And it was at the time, so I didn't expect to be out as long as I was out. So I thought I'd go to hospital, they'd pop it back in, I'd be fighting 2 weeks later in that next tournament.
And you'll come out shadow boxing.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I've seen people shot out and they've popped back in and, like, give it a couple of weeks, they was fine. I didn't know how severe the injury was at the time in that hospital, like, Serbian hospital. I didn't realise how severe it was, and it took me a few weeks to let that sink in, like, I'm not going to be fighting, like. And then even when I got back to England, I didn't expect it to be as long as what they said. So I went to the hospital to see the surgeons and the elbow specialists. It was just a shock to the system. Everything they said, I was thinking, oh my God, like, it's just another shock and everything's just getting worse. And it was a really mental battle, and it was annoying because I had such a busy year. I was like, oh my God, like, I'm going to miss out on so much now. Like, yeah, it was crazy.
Just in terms of, you not thinking that you were going to be out that long, is that also part of your mentality that you are a tough girl, and doctors do kind of give you a timeline, and we've heard stories, haven't we, that people kind of get back to top health within weeks and months, like you've just said. Was that more to do with that?
Yeah, I think with my mindset, like, I've had injuries in the past. Obviously, we've done a speech before, and I went to the Europeans. Obviously, I've won it with one hand. In my mind, I was just so set on being like everything. Every time she said to me, it's going to be a while, I was like, it's not, like. But at that time, I didn't know how bad the injury was. So yeah, I'd had a double dislocation, which is rare on its own. Normally, it's just one dislocated, but I had a double, and then everything around that's, like, I torn all my ligaments off. I torn the capsule off. I did the maximum damage you could possibly do to it. Like, it wasn't just like a little thing, but
you had to be extra. You had to be extra, didn't you?
If I was going to do it, I was going to do it the proper way, because that's the kind of person I am. If I'm doing something, I'm doing it with my whole heart.
It's going hard or go home.
I was going to do anything it took to get back before they said, and even though that was longer than, if I could have been fighting 2 weeks later, I'd have been fighting 2 weeks later. But obviously, like, in reality, it is going to take time, and I'm back now. But, like, the doctor said, there's no chance this year you're going to be back. There's no chance. That just the elbow specialist, who's the best in Britain with elbow, said, you're silly to even think you're going to be back this year. So to actually be now, like, announcing that I am going to the Commonwealth, when 6 months ago I was crying in the car to my dad because I got told, forget about it all, forget about the Worlds, which obviously I didn't make the Worlds, forget about the Commonwealths. It's just mind blowing to know that I'm actually 3 weeks time I'm going to be in Birmingham there.
I mean, there's two lines of thoughts here. It is unfortunate you didn't go to the Worlds because you were one of the favourites to medal out there. But then there's the side of me that says, you know what, she's young enough to come again. Do you know what I mean? And also, it says to me that your mindset is like, okay, I've had enough of sitting around. I'm getting out and I'm going to them Commonwealths.
And I think my mum's a big believer in, and she's always said from day one to me, everything happens for a reason.
100%.
Always gone with that. I've always said, do you know what? Everything happens for a reason. And at the time, I never know what. And I think when I lost my first fight, I was mortified. Like, it was the end of the world to me. But I look back now and I think I won't be where I am now without that loss. And everything has happened. Like my hand injury that I had, which wasn't as big as this, or little things. And at the time of this elbow injury, I just remember being in bed crying. Like James, me and James give each other like so much crap. Like we argue all the time, and he was the reason that I got out of bed a couple of times and actually came downstairs. And I just struggled so much. And I think now, like, everything does happen for you. Like, this tested my mind. Like, I've been so blessed along my career to not have big problems or stuff like that. So I think this happened to test my mindset and to see. And I had to like learn other things along in this injury. So yes, I wasn't allowed to train. I wasn't fighting. But the things I've got out of this injury is going to help me so much more going forward. I clearly needed this to test other stuff and get stronger, other things in my life, to now take that forward in my career and build on that as well. So in a way, like it has helped me in other aspects as well, which is good.
I'm so glad that you've kind of taken the positive out of the situation, because, you know, here's the thing: you were always winning. And I think there's a I mean, obviously nobody goes in the ring or nobody competes to lose, but you can learn from a loss. You know, you can sit down and you can learn from a loss. And I think that's when you truly know, oh, wow, you know, I'm made of this as well, because I have to pick myself up. And like the injury, you've had to pick yourself up, dust yourself down, and everyone feels sorry for themselves. Do you know what I mean? And then James has come along and gone, hold up, stop feeling sorry for yourself.
He said, get out of bed. And I'd be say, like, along the 6 months, there wasn't days where there'd be weeks where I'd be fine, and there'd be a week where I'm down again, and I'm watching everyone. Like, I was still going to GB, so I had a week at home after the injury because I was embarrassed. And I remember there wasn't going to be a live stream for this tournament, and this would be the first tournament there was no live stream for. I remember the day of the fight, they found a live stream, so obviously everyone was watching. I can just remember getting out that ring, and I was crying, and I was going, I'm embarrassed. I was on the stretcher on the way to the hospital, and I was going, I'm embarrassed. So they're going to make me go back to camp. My mum's watching me. All I kept thinking about is, my mum's not here in the country with me. My mum's just seeing me get wheeled off in an ambulance on a live stream. Like, don't have a clue what's going on. Everyone's at GB's when we're watching me. I'm embarrassed. I don't want to go back. Normally, you get an arm injury and you can still punch with your other arm. You can still run. So I was obviously again expecting that. I had 4 or 5 months no punching of any arm. I wasn't allowed to run. So I was going to GB and I was literally allowed to do nothing.
Just sitting there.
Yeah, I was watching. I spent more time downstairs with S&C. So I was doing physio all the time. I was with S&C, but I wasn't allowed to do any training at all. So I was going to camp every week, watching everyone. And I just remember, like, some days it would be so hard, like multi-nation camps coming in, spar, everyone peak, see everyone get ready for competitions that I should have been going to, that my name was down to. And I was watching everyone do it, watching everyone enjoy it, and I was just stood there like a spare tool. Like, I didn't feel like I belonged there anymore. Like, I just felt like an idiot. There was days where I was down and, like,
yeah,
I didn't want to be there, or even being at my own gym. I used to go to my own gym and I used to have to walk out, and I used to go sit with the parents, because even watching them train, like the kids that are like my team, it was difficult. And there'd be days where it'd be good and I'd go for a walk or I'd be on the treadmill. I'd just help people. So I remember GB, I'd be the video girl. So if anyone wanted that the pads videoing, I'd be helping, like, get the water. But
yeah, nice.
It was good days and bad days all along. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't.
You had no reason to feel embarrassed at all. No reason. And I'm going to say one thing that, not that many of my boxers ever lost, I'm going to be honest, but I'm a great believer in, you know, when you win a fight and you go back to the gym and you show off your, whether it's the belt or whether it's just your little medal thing. I think it's just as important to show up at the gym when you've lost as well, because it just gets all of that out of the way. Do you know what I mean? All of those feelings that you had, because you're still going to have them.
Yeah.
until you face the people. Do you know what I'm saying? So to me, it's just like, do you know what? Suck it up, get in there. And to be honest, it's not as bad as you think it's going to be.
No, it's not. I remember having that week off at home, and I was like, right. I sat down with my dad and that, and I was like, right, you need to go back to GB. Like, you need to go back to camp. And I thought, and I came out to the first at home, and I was like, right, I'm not going to the boxing gym at all. Like, not even my club. And that's the place, like, out of anywhere, I feel like home. Like, is my own boxing club at home with my dad, with my own team at Scunny. And I remember coming back going, I'm too embarrassed. And that week I went, and I was like, do you know what? It's not as bad. Like, everyone, I'm still the same. But like, no matter what, everyone was there. Like, it was good atmosphere. It was still, I don't know, I had nothing to be embarrassed about. And I had that week at home, and I thought towards the end of the year, I was like, do you know what? I am ready to go back to GB. I was like, the more I put it off, the more I'm going to be in a worse place. Like, I need to go back, get into that routine. And it was the best thing I did. I think if I had longer off, it would have been worse.
You might never have gone back.
Yeah, it was like that. And I went back after that week off, and it was fine. Like, there was nothing. I don't know why I felt embarrassed. I just remember staying to the physio, like, on the way to hospital, like, I didn't get up, I didn't carry on fighting. Like, it's embarrassing. Like, because my mindset, I've always, even with that hand injury that I boxed, I carried on. I had 4 fights. I won a European. So, like, for me to not be able to carry on and fight, but at that time I didn't know how severe the injury was, and I was thinking, why have I not got up? Why have I not just popped it back in? Why have I? And obviously that was never going to happen. I was never going to be able to do that. Like, I was just being silly, but it was fine, and I was glad I was there with the team again.
Have you, having seen the footage, have you given yourself a little bit of a break now and going, do you know what? To be fair, it was terrible. It was terrible. I couldn't have boxed on anyway.
Yeah, so we have to do these debriefs at GB, like, after a tournament, and we have to sit down and watch our fights and see what was right and wrong. And I remember everyone was obviously watching. Everyone's seen it. I had people come to me, I've watched it 100 times. I don't get. And at that point, I was like, oh my God, I'm not ready to watch. Like, because the whole day, like, from that injury, obviously I went to hospital and I was on, like, every showing. So that whole day was fuzzy to me. Like, I can't remember it myself, like, being in there. Like, I say this now, I can't, imagining me going through that now, I couldn't imagine going, like, the pain and stuff. But when I came to the debrief, I was like, yeah, I'm ready, let's watch it. And I've seen it from different angles, and I think, oh my God, like, now I'm like, look at this. Look, I did, like, this is me, like, my elbows on the canvas and I'm stood up. It is a crazy injury. And, like,
I'm glad you've had a chance to have a look at it and put it into perspective. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm guessing this is the first time you've gone through all these different manner of emotions, and these are the things that will help you as an athlete, and also working with a physio for that length of time. Although, like, I guess it was kind of boring for you because you're used to action. Your whole body now will kind of benefit from all of that other stuff. Does that make sense? And
I've never, there was a joke at GB, like, I was the girl that you never saw in the physio room. Like, I was never in the physio room. I didn't even have a relationship with the physios because I was that robust girl that just didn't really get any niggles, didn't get any injuries. I was never known. So I went from that to being the queen of the physio room. Like, I was in the physio room like 4 times a day. Rehab still now today, like 4 times a day. I'm doing rehab. I'm constantly in contact. The physio is the main person I speak to now at GB. Like, I'm always with him, and I probably get on the nerves now. Like, I'm that close to him now. Like, my training's always been so. I've got to train. I've always had that mindset. I've got to train. I've got to feel like I'm getting somewhere. So to take a step back and to have, like, and now we're with the physio a day doing light stuff, and just,
I can imagine when people are trying to book in to get into the physio room, they're like, she's in here again.
Always in there, like, so now, like, I know what it's like you don't have to be pushing yourself. Yeah, you have to train hard and that, but there's different levels. There's days where you don't have to train as hard, or, like, it's just quality. And
exactly,
I was on the go 24/7, like,
yes,
but I wasn't sweating, I wasn't training, like, I was one of them, like, both, which just adds up to help me more in the future and, like, upcoming tournaments.
100%. And talking about, you know, ahead of the Commonwealth Games, you guys are going off to is it Belfast? It is Belfast, isn't it? To a training camp. Are you looking forward to that, or are you a little bit nervous because you're going to? In fact, you're going to be able to put those skills, those other skills, into practice.
Yeah, it'd be nice. Obviously, I think everyone at GB has been getting away like every few months to a different country, and I haven't. So to be actually get to go on a training camp again, it'll be nice to travel. There's going to be lots of teams there. It's going to be a team atmosphere from us, like the whole team are going. So it'd be nice to get that little click with us guys, and then training against other people, different styles again, putting my elbow to the test, putting everything that I've had this year to the test and taking it and adapting everything. It's going to be a good little training camp for us, especially 3 weeks out. So it'd be nice. It would be, because obviously I've been in the GB environment and I'm very, very comfortable in that environment. That's like our home. That's our home gym. So to go to a different training camp where there's going to be different countries there, different sparring partners, it means a bit more sparring. It's going to be good to test everything and put obviously everything that I've learned this year. See where my elbow, like, obviously my elbow's in a very good place at the minute. Or I won't be going for the Commonwealth. So it'd be nice to get them rounds in, get them like, and just have that little training camp 3 weeks out from the Commonwealth. So it'll be like a little mini. It would probably check like a little mini tournament with other bits of training as well. So it'd be good to get that in before obviously fighting.
Ultimately, you know, when you've had an injury like that, who signs off on it? Do you go and say to the physios or to the team captain, listen, I'm ready to go, I feel like I'm ready to go? Or is it a collaborative thing where the physios and you kind of have a conversation?
From day one, I've been saying, whenever I'm ready, like, I'll do whatever I can. Like, I'll be fighting I'll fight with a bent arm if I have to. But GB are very, very good in the way the medical team and the coaches all work together. So every week they have meetings, they have medical meetings, they sit down and speak about everyone that's obviously in physio and that's got injuries. And like, even so as soon as that happened, obviously GB was watching at home. That night they pulled an emergency meeting to get everything into plan for me. So I flew home early from Serbia to get straight on with rehab. So they're very, very good in that way. So every week they had meetings, they had like targets, and like so I had like week blocks of when I completed this, I could go into the next stage and to the next stage and then like the end stage. So they had like dates and stuff for like me to reach that. So it was more like the physios was always speaking to the coaches and saying like she's missing out all these tournaments, she's missing out the Worlds, but our plan is to get her back for these as long as she meets these standards and we're happy with it. And obviously I just had to meet them standards. If my arm wasn't ready, I wouldn't, there'd be no chance. They wouldn't let me do it. But every week, every stage I completed, they said to the coaches, right, she's one step closer. Like, and I remember just being in the gym and I'd obviously not be training or anything, but I'd be like out the sling or like, I'd be like moving my arm and I'd be showing the coach like, look. And I remember Lee's like my point of contact coach. And I'd be like, Lee, don't forget about me for the Commonwealth selection. I was like, I know I'm not training now, but trust me, I'll be back for him. But yeah, it's mainly down to the physios and the medical team, the doctors, and they sit down with the coach and go like, listen, she'll be ready for this or she won't be ready. And then the coaches took that into consideration. And then obviously for the selections, I was just getting back. So like I just started sparring when I got the phone call. So they just took everything into consideration. And obviously it paid off for me because I got the phone call saying I'm selected.
You got the nod.
Yeah, I got the nod.
Got the nod. So in terms of, you know, I don't want to jump too far forward, but what will the rest of 2022 look like for you now?
Obviously, after the Commonwealths, there's Europeans coming up where obviously, again, that's selection. So there'll be a selection. There's different people at the weight. So it's whether they think's best. So hopefully the Europeans. And I don't know if there's any like mini tournaments that we go to at the end of the year. Hopefully get a few fights in. I remember speaking to Rob and he said when that injury happened, like, don't worry, because I was supposed to be very busy. He was like, we'll pick up the fights at the end of the year. But obviously, I'm still young and very young for in the senior boxing. So like, the more bouts I have, the more experience and exposure I get, the better. So I'm hoping to have like a busy back end of the year to make up for the front year. So hopefully the Commonwealth, the Europeans, if I get selected, and then just mini tournaments just to get the bouts in and get the exposure I need against different people, really.
Well, listen, it's always a pleasure talking to you. Welcome back. Oh, it's going to be good. Commonwealth Games. Sorry you missed out on the Worlds, but like you say, everything for a reason.
Thank you. Everything for a reason. I wasn't supposed to go to them Worlds. that tournament wasn't for me. I forgot about that now. Like, I'm just focusing now on the Commonwealth.
I'm liking the attitude. I do. I like the attitude, and with that attitude, you will just keep propelling yourself forward. Wish you all the luck at the training camp in Belfast. Don't show too much.
No.
Well, I think everyone knows you're an animal anyway, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, scrap that. But yeah, all the best as well. All the best at the Commonwealth Games, and thanks very much for giving us your time.
Thank you for having me.